Ana Gomes, Portuguese MEP. What would you say to British voters?
Vote to remain in the EU. Britain can punch above its weight by working within the EU. Britain makes a difference for the EU, a positive difference, because the Brits know how to operate in structures such as the EU and have important agendas in human rights, in trade, in development policies. I hope as well in security and defence they could be much more relevant if they would really invest in working European. This would be no contradiction with NATO commitments. On the contrary, it would be reinforcing the capacities, the capabilities of the Europeans in the context of other fora, NATO and the UN. If Britain would go out, this would be not only a tremendous shock and very negative impact in the economies of both Britain and the EU, and they are linked, but it would be extraordinarily detrimental to our capacity as Europeans to work for a regulated world, a world based in rules, a world that needs regulation and not fragmentation, and therefore I really can only say to my British fellow citizens of the European Union, please vote and mobilize yourselves to remain. I know the youth in Britain understands that better than the older people. And I count on the young people to mobilise, to come to vote and vote to remain.
One of the fears among some British people is the fact that the EU does regulate too much in their eyes. What would you say to them?
That's ridiculous. There's a lot of garbage that has been said to the British public opinion for many years, poisoning indeed the debate about Europe. Definitely there are things that we could do better by acting and regulating at other levels, namely at the local level, at the regional level, at the national level. But there is a very high number of issues, of challenges with which we are faced that know no boundaries, and where only the regulation and the enforcement can only happen at the European level. From matters dealing with our security, take fight against terrorism, fight against organized crime, to matters that also have to do with our security, for instance, climate change, working for sustainable development, working for fighting tax havens and for tax justice. This can only be achieved by working and regulating and enforcing at the European level. That's why we need absolutely the European Union in this globalized world we live in. And that's why Britain can make a hell of a difference by staying in the EU and working for these good purposes of regulating globally, providing security globally, and that can only be achieved by working in a European cooperation.